Welcome back to the Vires and Numeris podcast, episode 53, with Rachid, Ajaja, CEO and co-founder of AllianceBlock. Welcome to the show today, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been following AllianceBlock for probably 2.5 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. I'm really impressed with what you guys have been up to. So I gotta say right off the bat that I am an investor in this project. So I don't want any sort of anybody thinking, I'm just shilling it or something. I gotta let everybody know right off the bat that I am an investor in this project. So I appreciate your time today. So let's just not waste any time because time is valuable. It's the holiday season. We're not taking any time off, and I know you're traveling and with family too. So first question here. I always ask everybody a little bit. I want a little bit of background about your personal life and stuff, and how you got interested in technology.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks again for having me and for during this holiday season. So really appreciate. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, I'm Rachid. I'm co-founder and CEO of AllianceBlock. I've been tech when it started actually after my studies. So I was in the quantitative side. So building financial models to price financial instruments. So it's mixed between mathematics and computer science. Then actually after around 14 years, I moved more deeper into the technology because I was working at one of the biggest companies in France where I was leading the AI research team. So it was everything around smart infrastructure, connecting smart infrastructure with autonomous cars, because we believe that autonomous car cannot be 100% autonomous. But if you have really the infrastructure around it, that's really good because actually you give more eyes to the car. And by the way, I have and this is something that can be done with Peak, which I have done Twitter Space with them, and I think we are going toward this because when I spoke with them about that autonomous car, decentralized network and smart infrastructure, because they are building economy of things. So this is one of our partners, and really excited about this because it brings one of my experience back into life. And I would say it was 2016, I started investing in crypto. I got wrecked like many, of course. But actually one thing changed everything is I didn't understand back then, most of back in 2017, 2016, there was no fundamental. So I started investing into crypto. I got wrecked, as I said, and but one thing really changed lots of things, I would say, in my understanding, because back then there was no fundamental. Most of the project was white paper, we will. But actually some of them, it was really about the technology infrastructure. And I started to be interested reading different white paper, understanding the technology, seeing the different applications. And also there was all the ICO and the and the scams and everything. So this is actually where I met my co-founder Matthias, and we started to see how we can change the space. And actually, first things that started with was the peer-to-peer funding platform, basically to help startups to get also a platform that want to do community by the community and fully decentralized. And then we started, of course, we had different pivot. We started to see SEOs. We met lots of different, I would say, when we was in Kickstart Innovation Program, we met a lot of Swisscom, Credit Suisse, and all these guys. And we saw that actually the compliance layer is one of the most important if we want to bring, I would say, traditional institutional players into the decentralized finance space, but also into the decentralized space in general, because it's not just DeFi. And this is where actually back 2021, we issued our token. This is where we started actually to really start building the modules and building the difference. And what we said is, what can we do in order to get to rebuild the infrastructures exactly the same way as traditional financial infrastructure by leveraging all the decentralized technology. And this is how we started to go deeper, to be able to start the different modules. And of course, we need to discover everything. We need to be interested in technology, but we need also to always go much more beyond what we can do, because most of the technology that we are building, it's kind of new. And sometimes it's completely new. So we need to be able to innovate, and to innovate, we need to have strong interest into the technology, because we cannot just rebuild what others has done. And this is this is not what will make the space forward, I would say.
Right. I appreciate you giving that background story there. There's only talking about compliance, there's only 7 ISO 20022 compliant projects right now, I think. Quant, which is a partner of yours, Ripple, Stellar, Hedera, IOTA, XDC Network, Algorand, and Cardano
Mm.
What are you guys working on? I think I heard that you guys are working on becoming ISO compliant. Is that true or?
Yes, so we haven't started the process, but because we have released Nexera ID, and as you know, Nexera ID is self-custodial wallet that's be able to do not only storing the assets, recover the assets, having your identity, but also it will become payments. And if you start doing payments, you have to comply with this norm because you need to deal with financial institutions. And if you don't have this norm, it's impossible actually to be able to deal with them. So it is absolutely in our roadmap. And if you see, it was really done step by step. So building really the full infrastructure, then starting by leveraging the power of the NFTs, which we call NFTs as data container, and this will completely disrupt the space because the use cases are not only just infinite, but also when I mean like it's really like just the imagination. It's like anything that you can imagine, it is possible to build now. Of course, I'm not speaking about storing gigabytes of data, which is still not possible, but just most of the use cases that we see, we can build them, and also we can build them super quickly and multi-chain. But the payment, we are seeing huge interest into the payment. For example, so I'm currently in Morocco, and I saw that even the government in Morocco is interested about like the payment solutions, like leveraging the decentralized technology, and also like they are speaking a lot CBDC. And this is just to show also all the things that we have been hearing in the different the different countries and jurisdictions. Okay, so short answer, yes. Not starting yet, but definitely because we have to, if we want to have the onboard traditional financial institutions and be like one of the payment providers as well.
Yeah, for people don't know that don't aren't super familiar with AllianceBlock, it's a very robust project. They're working on a suite of stuff, a huge suite of things. So it's going to take some time to get everything together, but it's
Yeah,
a lot of work. Like you said, you're building a lot of this stuff from the ground up. So
absolutely.
moving forward, I'm curious because interoperability is like the great value unlock for me personally. I think that's going to be like the great value, the value unlock of our time. Maybe in the next couple centuries, we won't see anything like interoperability value unlock.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious because you guys are partners with a couple different oracles. I know you're working with Chainlink and
Mm-hmm.
API3. How do you
Mm-hmm.
determine when you're gonna utilize Chainlink, when you're gonna utilize API3 for different things?
Mm-hmm. So actually, this is really the philosophy of the decentralization. So it's not us to decide. We are building actually like a really decentralized infrastructure. Whenever we can decentralize, we decentralize it. Okay. So there is interoperability between the chains. So I'm happy to say that actually we have rebuilt completely the Nexera protocol, which we have spoken about in the white paper, the Prometheus protocol, which is leveraging the NFT as data container, completely built in Solidity, in Cairo, which is the language of Starkware, and also in Solana. So building in Solana as well, it should be able to be easy to release on Concordium. We will be able to all the Rust-based chain. Okay, and we are building on Ink, which is the which is the language Solidity language for some of the Parachain, because Parachain you have EVMs, which is Solidity compatible, and you have Ink, which is the language. So we are building really within the native languages that we can interoperate our product. But also one of the things that we haven't still speaking with, it's that we will release actually our bridge that is integrated Solana, which is we will be able to bridge from EVM to non-EVM. Okay, and Starkware. So this is one of the things that we haven't spoken with, and I'm happy to announce it because now we are on the test period, which is really good. So this is interoperability in terms of really between chain. And then there is interoperability between the applications and interoperability between the different partners. So our objective is to decentralize the network. We will have nodes, okay? So for example, if you have oracles, and we will have oracles, so these oracles, it's not to replicate what Chainlink has done. It's basically just to be plugged with API3, with DIA, even though some of them we haven't been speaking a lot about them, but now we are coming back to be able to say all what we said that we will integrate. So as I said, there is DIA, there is Chainlink, there is Pit Network, there is API3, which API3 also are really good because they have, in terms of GDPR compliance, in terms of some of the norms that are very, very important, because you need to have the accountability of the data, you need to be able to trace the data, and this is important if you want to take the data and feed data for financial institution, for example. It's very, very important to take this into account. Okay, so for us, it's so with this meta NFT, which will be able to be, so people will subscribe. So I want to subscribe to Chainlink Feed. I want to subscribe to Pitlib, to Pit Network. I want to subscribe to Dia. I want to subscribe to API Tree, or I want to subscribe to all of them and then get average. So basically we will have this kind of aggregator layers where we can connect all these partners, okay? And the users will be able actually to leverage them. So it's not us to say, because also something that is really good, and Matthias, my co-founder, and the team has been working a lot, is we are moving through a DAO. So AllianceBlock will become a DAO, okay? Which means that we are really going into this pure philosophy of decentralized our technology. We will even have the community that is like access to the treasury, so they will be able, we will do proposal, and it's the community that will, for example, like vote for the proposal or not. And we can have proposals from the community. So yes, so it's not us that will choose. So now we are choosing because we are building the infra, which is, I would say, not conditional to these layer 2s and layer 3s, but then the users will be able to have flexibility. Someone want to build, let's say, automatic execution for example, that is executing into compound Aave curve to leverage API tree, or maybe Pit Network. Because Pit Network also, they are on, we have connected them in Polygon. Actually took us maybe like few days because of the power of this, like the Nexera protocol and the NFT. So you can have NFTs that is fed by, you can create on the fly your oracles. And this is just one of the use cases that we can do. I'm speaking about Oracle because you asked for this Chainlink and all, but it could be about data. So it could be about covalence, it could be about band protocol, it could be, so you can connect to the data that you want, you can connect to the oracle that you want, and you will have this kind of Lego, okay, that you just put them together. For example, I want to build lending, so I want to build a compliant lending protocol. So compliant lending protocol, what do I need? I need basically the possibility to have an escrow. I need, for example, to be able to fractionalize the rapid assets. I need to have access to oracles. I need to have access to compliance rule, and I need to have access to one chain or two chain or different chain that I want. So, which means if I want to be multi-chain, I need to have access to the bridge. So the developers and the builders, they just checked which model they want, they build, and the users will have access to them. So either the project choose the modules, build with these modules, with this Lego, his infrastructures or his DApp, decentralized app, or the users will be able to choose what he want to what he want to use, for example, depending on his needs.
Empowerment of the user. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the roadmap for moving to a DAO? I don't know if I'm not sure if I heard,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
said
absolutely. So there is no roadmap. We will release it. So
that, or?
we will release it. So, and yeah, this is something that my co-founder, like, and Yannick has been working very, very hard on it, specifically Yannick. So I want to have like hat off on this, on his work on this. And yeah, so this is also moving toward like really fully decentralized infrastructures, but also a foundation that is having like a governance that is coming from the community. We will have governance, we will have community fund, and so on and so forth. So this is very important, and this is what we are trying to do. So really be one of the big player on the decentralized ecosystem.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I'm excited to hear about that.
Absolutely.
At the end of May, you guys announced a $100 million ALBT incentivization program for Bonk. Could you just tell Bonk, for the people who don't know, is a decentralized liquidity platform. Could you tell people just a little bit about Bonk and how that's going?
Okay, so I'm personally a DeFi degenerate. So I've been following like all the different lending protocols. So from Curve, not lending Curve, but Aave, Compound, Convex. Like there is Morpho now, which is more on top of Aave. Liquidity as well, which is really good. So all this lending protocol, there are some good stuff, there are some bad stuff, of course. But then Bonk, so they have really strong team. So Delia, which worked like tens of years in hedge funds and building core model, but also risk management. So here really I want to focus about risk management. Okay, and I will come back in a sec. Okay, you have Michal, who is he was the economic expert at EnergyWeb, and he has basically, he's the token expert, or he's the token economics expert as well on Bonk, and he has built really good system. And we have Misha, which is really, as I said, in the IMA tech guru. It's like more than 20 or 30 years as software developers. He's really good in Solidity, and he was ex-chief innovation officer at EnergyWeb, which is really good. Okay, so what they want to build is really 0% interest rate lending protocol. So it has two kind of users. You have the protocols itself, because protocols sometimes they have huge treasury, okay? But the problem is they don't leverage it. It is passive. It doesn't bring revenue. It doesn't bring any money, okay? And sometimes they are providing it into other DeFi without any risk management, which lead to some like losing a lot of money. On the other side, the users that has some of the assets that they don't will have to lose them, and they want to be able to get something from them. So the fundamental difference between Bonk and others is that you have this notion of troughs, which liquidity as well work with troughs, but troughs, imagine it as vault. Okay, so you have whitelisted assets, and the biggest fundamental difference between Bonk and liquidity is that liquidity they accept only it. So, however, Bonk, they accept for now, you have like, they will soon have Matic, but they have also ETHs, they will have staked ETHs, they will have like a lot of, and they have ALBT now, but ALBT, of course, it is like more volatile. So this is why we have high over collateralization ratio. And I tell to people, be careful on the collateralization ratio, is very important. Okay. And something that is actually triggering my interest is, as you may know, is like a lot of people on the Middle East, and they don't basically participate into this protocol because, like in the Sharia, you cannot basically like participate like in to have interest. Okay, so I do believe that Bonk not only is doing perfectly the traditional business in terms of the lending borrowing, but also is the one that is near to be compliant with the Middle East rules, which mean that can have access to much more capital than the lending protocols now. So this is the fundamental. Now, what is on top? So the objective to be able to have assess your risk. Okay, so you will know when you are which asset you will have risk report. You know exactly what could happen if Ethereum go to $200 and so on and so forth. You will be able to optimize your trough. So I have like 4 assets, and I want to issue Bioro between these 4 assets. So you will have algorithms that optimize your portfolio, for example. And then you have also the stability pool, that if someone is liquidated, you receive basically part of it. And then this money to stability pool, you receive the Bonk tokens, and the Bonk tokens basically can give you also cashback if you stake them. So really the utility of Bonk, it is really fundamental here. And now, and also what I love about Bonk, so I am personally involved. So for full transparency, I have been advising them as well since inception. So because I saw huge fundamental cooperation between AllianceBlock and even AllianceBlock has tokens basically. Okay, so but I speak about it. If we are involved into a project, it's because we believe that can have value, and we are AllianceBlock is the first one that is taking advantage from actually Bonk. Okay, so of course it is not absolutely not investment advice, and you cannot invest anywhere because actually no one can invest in Bonk. So it's only utility-based token that is issued if you are providing basically your assets, which is also a good model. So even in terms of SEC or FCA or FINMA, there is nothing to do because they are not doing ICO, they are not doing any fundraise, which is really good as well. So, and they have amazing roadmap. I think a lot of big partnership with protocols that have millions of dollars that will be and even more that will come. And I do believe that it will have the space, because if protocols and DAOs can manage the trade, it will help also their communities. If communities will be able to get value from their tokens that are whitelisted, this is utility for the users. And I think what is also good with Bonk is that they really want to have this RWA, the real world assets. You can provide value from real world assets. And you saw one of my tweets is that imagine that, for example, you have back lending. I want to get some money directly from from people. But then you can use AllianceBlock and Nexera to leverage your real art into NFT. This NFT, of course, will be connected to expert oracles that will give you the price. The way that we will basically delete the speculation. So if I buy, so the art is very regulated, and you cannot buy NFT fraction of an art and tomorrow it's 100x. So the expert will provide between -5% plus 5% maximum, okay, where you can sell or buy the fractions if you want to sell it in secondary market. Okay, so now I am lenders, I lend, I receive this fraction, I don't want to sell it, so I can put it into Bonk with this expert oracle, okay, and then I will be able to get some money. So this money, I can use it in DeFi. I can do some things that can provide you value, which is not possible right now. And this will disrupt completely the space of STOs, because most of the problems with STO, we said making unbankable asset bankable. But we couldn't, because there is no liquidity, and we saw that it was boom in terms of marketing, and we didn't hear about them. So now this will be possible. So like as we discussed in Twitter with Mr. Lakrakow for his question, it could be Luxurious Watch, it could be real estate, it could be wine fund, it could be like any kind of illiquid assets. So yeah, so personally, and as AllianceBlock, we are very excited. It's providing value to us. And I will really advise people to check it really carefully into, and we don't choose any project to bring it into funders, of course, because it's been around 8 months now that we are working hand in hand with them.
I had some of the fractionalized art and stuff on the questions coming up, so I appreciate you adding that. You got ahead of me there. Let's just talk about Nexera for a second and meta NFTs. A lot of people don't even know what a meta NFT is. Let's just talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So basically, meta NFT is an evolution of NFT 721. So it started as research projects, and it's grow and grow, because in the beginning we wanted to provide value for liquidity provider to bring liquidity to our DEX. So if you provide $100,000 liquidity, if you lock your liquidity within, for example, like 3 months, if you have $100,000 trading volume per day, then you will not pay any fees on the DEX. And if you have fraction of the money that is going, for example, to have DeFi strategies to give you some return, to be able to optimize your impermanent loss, so anyone that is using your pool, you will be able to get percentage. So you have restrictions, and if you do all the restrictions, you will basically trigger some properties. Then we say, wait, what would happen if we use this technology, basically this concept, into funders? So if I invest, if I have this reputation, if I have this ALBT, I can do this and this and that. Then we said, wait. So what we are doing basically is using not only the metadata, but also the data within an NFTs, that this NFTs has properties and restrictions that is fed by some smart contract that is giving him instructions. So we started to develop the core infrastructure, which is the Nexera protocol, fully trustless and composable and extensible protocol, okay? Where the objective is anyone, anywhere is able to build decentralized app in few days, because without any Solidity smart contract knowledge, or Cairo language, or Solana REST language, or whatever, okay? And then, so if I need to summarize meta NFT into one sentence, it is NFT as data container. So the NFT becomes data container. And the fundamental difference between the NFT and our meta NFT and the dynamic NFT of Chainlink is the dynamic NFT deal only with the metadata. So we don't only deal with the metadata, but we deal with the metadata and the data. Okay, so which give you even more, I would say, flexibility within to develop your own products. Then we discuss, okay, what would be, so like we saw that we can apply it into the GameFi, we can apply it into the DeFi, we can apply it into like the identity. But actually, the first thing that was like really stand out is the Nexera ID. So Nexera ID leveraging the meta NFT as data container, which contain your assets. Okay, that can basically get recovered if you have hacked, that could have verifiable credentials with the rule engine, which is compliance rule engine. So all the things that we have been speaking since 2018, 2019, so now it's become reality because of this technology, and hence we are able to connect all AllianceBlock products. So from DEX to funders to DeFi terminal to trusted identity verification and so on. And the Nexera ID is built on top of Nexera protocol, but also on top of trusted identity verification. And if I need to summarize in one sentence trust identity verification without going into KYC, AML, and all this, it is the open source layer that will be able to authenticate the data, encrypt the data, and to give you the possibility to decentralize role-based access control, give access, revoke access. So we can imagine it's not just identity, it's any data. And then you can leverage this data to generate some zero knowledge proof that become properties into your NFT. So NFT as a data container, which has properties and restrictions that you will be able to do or not do something given the properties of the project that you are working with. So, and you can imagine the number of potential here. So you can apply it in any kind of like vertical, but we are starting with the identity, the soulbound NFT, and also the rules engine, which is the compliance. And on top of it, you will have the DeFi, automatic on-chain execution, strategy layer, risk management, GameFi, can go from metaverse to metaverse with your identity? How can you have your multi-chain identity? And how can you leverage all the products? So this is in a nutshell. So lots of information, but I try to do my best.
No, that's a great explanation. I think it's brilliant. I'm so excited because a lot of people that aren't in our, in crypto every day, following the blockchain industry, they think NFTs are just JPEGs, and it's going to be so much more than that. There's going to be so much value in NFTs people don't even understand. So, let's go backwards in time a little bit. I think maybe initially, I mean, like I said, I've known you guys 2.5, maybe 3 years. You guys did a partnership with the London Stock Exchange. Was probably the first piece of news or big news that I heard about you guys. What is the status on that, and what kind of cooperation is that?
Which one? For which partnership?
The London Stock Exchange.
Yeah, exactly. So I have get these questions, and like in the community, and London Stock Exchange, when we started, basically we still didn't have our full infrastructures, our full from data to the identities to all this stuff that we are building now. But now that we are releasing our testnet, and we should be able to audit, because it's very, very important to be. And you saw that every product that we are releasing, we are auditing it. So it's very important. So sometimes it takes time, yes. Sometimes people get frustrated, but either we do it fast and there is a problem, or we do it well, and then we know that we are protecting us, but protecting our community and our users. So now that we arrive to a stage that I do believe that around February, March, that we will be able to get most of the things audited, that we will have this Nexera identity that is out with the Nexera protocol, with huge utility to ALBT, because every transaction will use ALBT or swap it to ALBT. We will have some cashbacks as well. It will return to the DeFi, but pools that we will announce, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we will trigger also some of the project that we were speaking with London Stock Exchange. So just stay tuned. I think we should be able to have some good announcements in 2023.
Excellent. I appreciate that. In October, you guys joined INATBA, and I'm curious, like, what do you believe that sort of partnership will yield for you guys moving forward?
Actually, this is important. So they are very, very active, unlike many of the association, and they have policymakers, regulators, financials, like practitioner, and basically there are almost like weekly calls. So, for example, Gilles Berverdier also is involved in some of the calls, and their objective is to have the ground up for the regulation, for the policies, for the payment, for like the identity, for the self-sovereign identity, self-sovereign like liquidity and all this. Then, so it is absolutely like for us, it's privileged to be with them, specifically when we do the call, and we saw like they are not tech people, they are policymakers, but it's good to have also our views to speak about how can you make the policies reality. One of the things, this is not really related to INATBA, but there is a European Commission that has asked for a project. How can you do automatic embedded supervision in DeFi? So it's a very complex subject, but actually we saw that we have most of the things. So you have your identity with your verifiable credential that is compliant with W3C norm. First. Second, you have your KYT, your transaction, which means that like when you will connect, you can access if you have done your KYC and you have the proofs to that sharing the data, and you know if your wallet is illicit or not, hack or if it has done with mixer, gambling, whatever. Okay, and then you have the data infrastructure that is able to fetch all the events from the blockchains, okay, and to tell you, for example, aggregated, and somewhere you can use June, you can use Graph, you can use our own data infrastructure, data quasar that we call it, okay. And here we notice that actually without even wanting to work on this embedded supervision, we have all the blocks, and you don't need to have access to the data of the user because you can do it automated. But on the other side, if you have someone that is dealing with compliance protocol and have signed the privacy policy, if the regulators need to have access to his data, if he doesn't sign, of course, he will not be able to interact with this compliant protocol or this compliant DeFi. But if he signs, if there is a problem with the protocol or something, so the regulator can have access. And actually, this is something that we are trying to work on as well, to propose this end-to-end automated solutions for embedded supervision. So, and this is completely in line with the policies. And one of the things that is also, like I spoke a lot about MiCA regulation, FATF rules, which is from the US. You have the Open VAS protocol, which is on in terms of transactions. So we have all these blocks that we have been building since 2018, which many haven't even taken us seriously. Yes, it will not work. Yes, you are doing just CRM. Yes, but now they see that we are seeing projects popping up, speaking about compliance, speaking about bridging traditional finance to decentralized finance. And so it's good, but we have this, I would say, this 2, 3, 4 step ahead where we are having all this infrastructure. And I remember when I spoke with Tokenizer and we thought, okay, why we are building all this module ourselves? Tomorrow, we can build just one module and we can use many third parties. But why we have done these really very complex decisions, which is, of course, burn more money. Of course, it needs more engineers. Of course, it needs like more support. But we have to, because we are in so new nascent, I would say, technology innovation, that if we start using multiple providers and there is a problem in their tech, we are doomed. Okay, so all the core part of and the modules for our infrastructure must be done by us. So yeah, so this is not related to INATBA, but you see, so it's everything is correlated.
Right. It was a good interview you did with him too. I enjoyed that. I hate to shifting gears. I'm trying to get as much in here as we can. I hate to get into money specifics, but a lot of people are worried about, projects, smaller market caps in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum, things like that in the bear market, altcoins or whatever you want to call them. What kind of cash position? I don't need specifics, but like runway, like you guys are good for the next couple of years, or how long can you guys survive a bear market is basically my question. What if the bear market goes 4 or 5 years? I don't foresee that. I think that this year will probably be turning around, but in 2024 would be a good year again, hopefully, but not financial advice. But what is the runway?
Yeah, so I do believe that like we have optimized our runway, and now we are in a way that we are in really the perfect moment to start generating revenue. Okay, so this revenue that will start hopefully in Q2, Q3 with our first, not our first product, but commercial product that will get also institutional, okay, which is the Nexera ID. We have been actually, since we released our website, we have been contacted by multiple institutional, and my surprise, it was very, very big company. So I cannot say name, but say name now. But they are very, very big companies, which is good because they are working on this space and they saw like our technology and innovation that can be like really great. So generation of the revenue, we have really good team, and actually all what we have been building these 4 years and a half. If you saw, I always remember last year in December, I told to the community tsunami, and I got really kicked my ass because tsunami, it's not the same, I would say, point of view. But now, the last 3 months, we have been releasing so much, like compared to any other project, but even compared to our history. Because for 4 years, we have been building in siloed, multiple tech, multiple modules that now everything is conversion. So to answer your question, we are good for 2023. We are having the treasury that will be dealt with the DAO, and we will be able actually to survive. And one of the most things that people need to take into account is we started in bear market.
Right.
Okay, so we wanted to raise 1 million. At the end, we raised with community that has only like my reputation. So I didn't have any slides, any website, anything. Okay, so we wanted one. We raised only 200 million. Then we raised 300 million for like a total between the 2 years. It was 1 million. Okay, but we thought that we will release proof of concept and we can raise like shit ton of money, but we couldn't. But we had basically to fight every day to be able to build, because when you don't have money, you cannot hire. When you cannot hire, you cannot build. When you cannot build, you cannot get money. So it's fucked up. But we managed. Because so we believe in what we are doing, and no matter what, we will be able to reach our vision, and we are showing it. It's not just blah blah or just like talk. Is we have been releasing nonstop from DeFi terminal, data tuner. It's coming. We have the Nexera protocol. It's 14 months. So I can speak about just numbers. So Nexera has been investing around like $2 million just to build the infrastructure. So you can imagine how big it is. Okay, but also like all the other products. So now that we have built and we have build money, we have hired talents, now we need to bring the revenue. So yes, so this is very important point. Thank you very much for asking, but it's very important to highlight what we have been releasing and where we are going. And now we are at the point that we can generate these revenues.
Absolutely. I just have 3 or 4 more questions for you. I'm gonna try to be respectful of your time around the holidays.
Absolutely, no problem. Yeah.
Tokenomics. Can you tell me I don't know if you know how many are in ALBT are in circulation or not, because I looked at
Yeah.
Live Coin Watch. They have 741.4 million of 1 billion in circulation. Then I go
Mhm.
over to CoinGecko and they only have 460.8 million of 1 billion. So that's quite a big disparity in
Yeah.
numbers. Do you know how many are in circulation?
Absolutely. So, like in the term of circulation, so I do believe that CoinGecko is the most accurate one, but we need to check again because CoinGecko, they are completely with the smart contracts. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
smart contract that they are there. So now there is one. So I do believe that they are taking all the things that have been claimed. So the total supply that will be, so the total circulating supply, if I take circulating supply, it is 1 billion, will happen 1 billion. But from this 1 billion that will be on market, 150 million, we will never touch. And actually, 150 million is coming from the nodes, which will help actually to be able to build the decentralized node and infrastructure. Okay. So now,
150 million or 150 billion? Sorry, I was just making.
sorry, 150 million.
Okay, okay. You said it right. I was just
No,
making
no.
sure. I was just making sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no,
All right.
sorry. Yeah, I say billion, but no, 150 million,
Okay.
which like we are using now around 100 million, I think, or 120 in the Bonk protocol. So we are basically getting Bonk, and this Bonk we will be able to release it also in a reward for the cheaper reward pool that we will give to the community. Okay, so this is something, and one Orwell has like highlighted this, and this is very important point. So, and this is also, it's proof that we are using Bonk ourselves. So yes, so 850 million max. I think we should be able now around 460, but I will still compare to make sure that we have, but going is the right one. I have the Excel file. We will check with the teams to be full, and we will have like end of year reports with everything.
Oh, great. Yeah, I actually tend to notice that CoinGecko is a lot more accurate than Live Coin
Yeah,
Watch on a lot of things.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, just a couple more here. What do you? This came from somebody in my Patreon community. What do you think the major catalyst for the next step in like institutional adoption will be? Because we saw some institutions coming in over the last couple of years, but what do you think the next one
Yeah,
will be? The next major catalyst?
absolutely, absolutely. So we started to see off-chain data. We started to see on-chain data used by institutional.
Hmm.
Huge investment into the custody solution, huge interest in investment into payment solution now, and it's still okay. Now, huge interest into identity. And I say huge many times because we saw all the cycle. Identity, self-sovereign identity, KYC, AML, compliance. This is the most. And if we want to make DeFi sustainable, it will be compliant DeFi. But I don't believe in permissioned DeFi. I believe in compliant DeFi, which means people can do whatever they want. They don't have to do it, but if they want, they need to comply with the rules. But still, you have the way of doing decentralization. We have been speaking with many VCs, and we see the trend about self-sovereign identity, self-sovereign liquidity, and self-custody. These are the three main points. And actually, you can see on the Twitter space speaking about abstracted accounts, speaking a lot about SSI, self-sovereign identity, and even institutional are speaking about it. And some of the big KYC AML that they are trusts that they sign the documents, they want to provide these on-chain wallets with their custody. So they have the custody, they have the on-chain wallet, and they have the rule. For example, in Switzerland, you have three categories. The regulation is changing very fast, but you have the digital area, you have the token, as token not be issued only by banks and regulated financial institutions. Okay, and you have like what is the payment token as well. So this is something that is more on the payment that is not categorized as utility. We were speaking about it, and actually, while having your this self-sovereign identity and you have your verifiable credential, your abstracted account, you will be able actually with the company that you are working on, given your data or given your zero knowledge proof that you have shared with them, they will know if you have the right to get the payment token, if you have the right to get the asset token in your wallet, if you have the right to get the utility token. So this will really completely fit the space and be more compliant with the regulation while giving the flexibility to users. So this is what I think we are going, and this is what we have been working ahead of the curve. So I'm happy that we will be able to, instead of just starting to be able to be compatible with the wave that is coming, we have everything to be able to be be the first to go to market with these technologies, audited, and which has really utility, but also that is bringing utility to ALBT. Of course, institutional, it's not the ones that will buy ALBT, but paying transactions or their users paying transactions will go straight into percentage of to ALBT.
I love how you guys are playing the long game. You're building the infrastructure for the future, not just some fly-by-night project.
Yeah.
Okay, two more here. This is it, I promise. All right, you mentioned speaking of Switzerland, you were going to drop some alpha today. Do you have some alpha drop?
Yeah. So the biggest alpha is I will be speaking in Davos, and we will be announcing actually we will be releasing first video of the Nexera ID that will have actually the app, which is the application of Nexera ID, which will be already being audited, and it will be like people will be able to test it as well and to use it. Okay. And also we have like 5 builders that are already building on the Nexera ID, which is really good. So we have a company under management. We have a company that is basically have like few million users. We have protocols, lending protocols, and we have also layer one that want to use this. Plus, like we will be able to provide even more details, but at least now it is signed, which is really good. Sorry?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So Davos, I'm happy to be there again. And actually we will have like it will be even much more bigger than what we won last year. So I think this is one of the biggest news, and also being able to that people will test next week in Nexera ID on the test nets, and we will have like a new design and the app, which would be super easy to use. So, and this is also bringing together Web 2 and Web 3. I have been, sorry, this is not on the question, but actually I have been seeing a lot of on LinkedIn speaking about Web 3. That is, Web 3 is just a name that was invented by VCs to be able to change the negative point of crypto. Then I was thinking, yes, this is not really true, because you have the Web3 Foundation, which is actually Polkadot, that have been using this for a few years. And and I was getting an interview with product marketing manager, and she has been never on Web3 or in crypto space. And she said that like the natural evolution from Web1 to Web1 to Web2 and Web2 to Web3 is basically being able to go from to delete the intermediaries. So, and now I am hearing about Web4, which is it started, and some people. So, but well, these are just names. We are just builders. We build, and I do believe that we have like exciting 3 months coming. Really exciting. I think like in terms of the teams are absolutely hardworking, and yeah. So like this big alpha is Davos. I have spoke about the triple reward as well, which will come as actually like into force basically by Tuesday. And we will be also like having the SSLP finally like toward February or March latest. So this is absolutely very important for us.
Yeah, these people that think that Web3 is like some sort of catchphrase that doesn't exist, we're gonna leave them in the old world.
Exactly.
All right. Last question for you, sir. I really appreciate your time today. I ask everybody this at the end of the podcast, and I hope I get to talk to you again in the future. It's been
Absolutely.
a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
What does Bitcoin mean to you?
Bitcoin is mean so it was meaning freedom before. Now it's not really it's not really freedom. It was the first DeFi actually that is existed ever, because we speak a lot about DeFi the last 2 years or 3 years, but actually it was DeFi. Like to replace the bank. Unfortunately, it become really much more centralized. It become much more correlated to equities. So I can say from freedom to fear, okay? Because people can manipulate it. People will be able. It's hugely centralized in terms of token, and this is why we need to have, I would say, technology with tokens that have huge utility that will start to decorrelate from Bitcoin. Bitcoin will last no matter what. It is Papa, it's the father, it's the godfather, I would say. So no matter what happens, we will have it. But yeah, so to summarize, from freedom to fear, but from fear, hopefully, to something amazing.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I hadn't heard that one, but I appreciate that. And hey, man, I wish you nothing but the best in the future,
Just
Rachid.
one thing.
Yeah.
Just one thing, if I may. I saw a question from Orwell that has, well, I don't know if it's Orwell. Yeah, I think it's Orwell, who asked where we see ourselves in 2 years.
Okay.
And I think this is really important question. So the comparison, if you take layer one, the blockchains, they have huge money, they build infrastructures, they decentralize it. Some yes, some no, but this is another debate. And they have funds, 100 million, 700 million, 1 billion, whatever, to attract builders. Sometimes builders, they get 50,000 checks, 100,000 checks that they build something without any value actually, but just also in terms of the market. But objective of layer one is to build infrastructure with huge teams, and then to attract as much people as possible to give the money to be able to build. And this is the war. Okay. So for us, if you check from what we are doing now, is we are building the layer twos and the layer threes. We are building the infrastructures, that is multi-chain, that you can basically use in every single, I would say, vertical. We are building the tools and the middlewares. So like the DeFi terminal, like the way that we will have like the toolings within Nexera, that you will be able to launch your oracles with whatever you want to subscribe. You will be able to do lending, borrowing, GameFi, fractionalization, all these tools. Okay. The tools that are agnostic. Tokenization is agnostic to anyone. So like fractionalizations, like oracles basically is not that just price oracles. Tomorrow we will see oracles with analytics. So oracles that can feed you with impermanent loss, that you said, okay, if impermanent loss is more than 2%, I want to withdraw automatically. I don't do it manually. So you can have analytics. You can build on-chain strategies that are complex, but it will help you to execute and not be able to connect to each of but there are some that exist already, like Spool, Foro Combo, and others. Spool I like very much because like I am involved as well into it. And I know that they are releasing the V2, but on our side is basically to be the aggregator of these different kind of strategies. Okay, so this is just one example. And then we have the application layer, which is the product. So Nexera ID, Nexera Fi, Nexera Games, that will come more and more. Okay, Nexera Wallet and so on, Nexera Payments and so on. What is the next step? So the next 2 years is to have this out, generate revenue, having adoption, market fit, go-to-market strategy, and all what we know. Then we will, in 2 years, 3 years, it's building our own blockchain. The only fundamental difference between us and other layer one, we don't want to compete with them because we are multi-chain by I would say the way that we have built our products. So we will have a chain that is interoperable thanks to our bridge, EVM or non-EVM. We will have the tools, we will have the products, and we will have the protocols, which mean that we have all the package that anyone can plug and play with almost no code. You will build the decentralized application, you will build your enhance the protocols and so on. So this is where I see ourselves. And the ones that will basically have that are involved in the ALBT ecosystem, that understand it, that will run nodes, these are what will win in the future as well, of course. So this is, I would say, where I see myself in 2 years. So every step brings us near to the blockchain layer one.
I'm glad you worked that in here at the end. They would have been disappointed. Thanks for that. Yeah, it was a good explanation too. I'm really excited to see what you guys do this year and moving forward. Have safe travels back to Switzerland, my friend.
Thank you very much.
And have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, my friend. Thank you very, very much for having me. Thank you. Absolutely. It was really amazing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hang on one second. I'll say a proper goodbye.
Yeah.